How's it going, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back to my channel. So today I decided to do a ranking for the legendary band, The Police. This band, basically, the last album was in 1983. I was 10 years old at the time, so by the time I was starting to get into music, they were done pretty much. Even though I think officially they weren't done until like 1986. But this band's really interesting. It's got like an American, Stuart Copeland, Sting and Stuart Copeland are like 71 now, and they had their guitar player Andy Summers is like 80 now. So he's a little bit older than they were at the time, so it was kind of interesting. I think the band kind of kept Andy kind of young in a lot of ways, and he maybe hadn't completely grown up at the time. Maybe probably still hasn't completely grown up yet, but which is great. It kind of keeps you young when you stay young, hang around younger musicians. You kind of have an opportunity to kind of stay young in a lot of ways. But yeah, that's kind of interesting how Stuart Copeland's an American. I think in a lot of ways that's kind of why I like Monty Python. That's kind of the reason why I like them, because they had Terry Gilliam was like the only American in that group, and that they were formed in England. But it's kind of interesting how Sting, in a lot of ways, a lot of people think he's kind of arrogant. Recently I hadn't heard this before, but Stuart Copeland says that people confuse Sting's shyness with arrogance. I think a lot of ways, and he's kind of distant from people, and I can kind of relate to that. I'm kind of like Sting in a lot of ways, and in that way, I consider myself to be kind of introverted and kind of shy, and people kind of take that as being like a arrogance in a lot of ways, which is it's kind of strange how the Sting, being like a movie star, or he's done some movies like Dune and Quadrophenia and some other things, and obviously being a front man of a popular band, you would think he would be really extroverted, but apparently he's not, which is kind of strange that he could be successful that way. But being a front man in a band, I think Geddy Lee's kind of similar to that. But so I've got 5 albums here. Please leave in the comments how you would rank these, because I'm sure I've looked at different rankings online, and these albums go up and down the board. So I'd say there's really no right or wrong answer. You kind of like what you like. Please leave in the comments how you would rank these, because it'd be interesting how you do this, because I had to listen to like 3 of these albums again on like Saturday and on Friday, just to kind of make sure that I had these right, because my ranking did kind of go up and down. Some albums I thought I liked a lot more kind of moved down a little bit because of that. But so number 5, this one I've got Outlandos De Amor, their debut album. This is kind of like a post-punk album, kind of in a lot of ways. Obviously, it's got Next to You is a really great song. Roxanne, I'm sure a lot of people have heard that song way too many times, but I still like that one. It's Can't Stand Losing You, great song. So Lonely, great song too. But yeah, like I said, this one I think I had number 4 one time, then I kind of moved it down to number 5. So still really love this album though. Number 4, this is one I had like a number 2 one time. I listened to it in the car again yesterday, and it kind of moved down a little bit. But it's a Zenyatta Mandata from 1980. Driven to Tears, I think it's a great song, and how it transitions into when the world is running down. You make the best of what's still around. Great song. To me, those songs, I had to play them together, and I love the way it transitions over. It's kind of like We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions. How those songs I had to play those songs together. If you hear them on the radio, you usually kind of disappointed if you don't hear them together. So it's kind of one of those songs for me. Don't Stand So Close to Me. I think a great song. And see if I can say this right. De do do do, de da da da. They're not easy to say, but I like that song a lot. But Shadows on the Rain, obviously Bombs Away. There's some decent songs on it, but yeah, definitely it definitely starts off a lot really strong. I think maybe the first side, but yeah, still a lot of great stuff on this though. So number 3, this one definitely is probably one of the most commercial albums, even though it doesn't have like the hits that their last album had. But it's a Ghost in the Machine from 1981. Some really great stuff in this. Omega Man, I think, is a really great song. Spirits in the Material World. Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. It's a great song. Obviously, it's got an Invisible Sun. It's got Secret Journey. Some really great stuff on this. But I don't think there's really a song I dislike on this. But it's definitely really kind of a pop album. Like 1981, this is basically, this was released the same year as the MTV. I'm sure the album was probably written and recorded before MTV started, August 1st, 1981. But definitely, music was definitely going way more commercial at the time. So this one's definitely got a pop sound to it. Just doesn't have the hits that the last album had. But yeah, still love it though. So at number 2, this one I thought was going to be my number 1. And I listened to the one I have at number 1, and it kind of changed. I kind of flip flop them there, but it's definitely Synchronicity. Great album from 1983. Obviously, the first side of this is definitely the weaker part of the album. Definitely love, Synchronicity 1 and 2 are really great. But those tracks 2, 3, and 4 are definitely the ones that kind of bring it down a little bit. It's kind of strange how a lot of bands would. In the 80s, definitely a lot of times they would front load the album with some really great stuff, and then it would kind of get a little bit weaker as it went on. But this one, I think, is definitely side 2 or side B is definitely the one I really like the most on it. Definitely Synchronicity. As far as Every Little Breath You Take is definitely the one you probably heard way too many times. King of Pain's a really great song. Wrapped Around Your Finger. Definitely great song, but Murder by Numbers I guess was added to this album for cassette and CD, and apparently I don't know let me know in the comments if you have this album on vinyl and if that song's on it now, because I've read that it was just put on the CD and cassette, but maybe that's changed now since it's been re-released, I'm sure. So let me know about that. Synchronicity number 2. So at number 1, I definitely had to listen to this one in the car again yesterday, just to make sure that I had it. It should be number 1, because I saw a lot of people have it at number 1, and like I said, Synchronicity was my number 1. This one got flipped around, but it's Regatta de Blanc, definitely legendary album here. It doesn't have like the hits that Synchronicity has, but I think every song is pretty strong on it. Message in a Bottle, great song. It's got obviously Walk on the Moon. It has Contact's pretty decent. It's got a song that Stuart Copeland sang and wrote that I think would definitely not fit today's culture all that much, but it's On Any Other Day. If you got to listen to that song on YouTube and let me know what you think, because it's like wow, I can't believe he said that. This album was over 40 years ago, so it's it's very strange that they would have that in the lyric, but I think it's kind of funny too. But Does Everyone Stare, I think, is the song that I love on this album. I think this side B or the second side of it is definitely the strongest of the album. As far as like the musicianship on this, I think it's probably the best album in that way. Even though, like I said, it doesn't have the hits on it. But 1979 to have something this strong, definitely for me, I had to have it at number 1. And like I said, I thought for sure Synchronicity was going to be number 1 until I heard that side A of that album that kind of brought it down a little, just brought it down to number 2. Let me know in the comments how you would rank these again. Like I said, it could be completely different from mine, which is great. Please consider subscribing. Please put a thumbs up on this video. Definitely very important to my channel. Just like anybody on YouTube, thumbs up would definitely help you out a lot. And please have a great day. Thank you. Bye.